Hi crocheters of the world, look at this lovely jasmine field. Isn't it just beautiful? Now, in this tutorial, I want to show you step by step how easy it can be to work this super beautiful, marvelous stitch. It's only about clusters. So, let's get started. So let's see how to work this beautiful marvelous stitch that I'm actually in love with. We will begin with a chain of 5. Yarn over twice. Now I'm working it with triple crochet clusters. You can work it with puff stitches or double crochet clusters. If you work them with double crochet clusters, you can just instead of 5 you will chain 4 at the beginning. Now this is my first, I am working my second, and all that I want is to yarn over, pull through all and chain to secure. This is my first cluster. I will continue on like this, chaining 4, yarn over into the secure chain of the previous cluster, work 2 more triple crochets that you won't close, finish, yarn over, pull through all, chain to secure, chain 4, yarn over twice into the secure chain of the previous cluster, work 1 triple crochet, don't finish it, work the second and don't finish it, and now yarn over, pull through all, chain to secure. It has no multiple, so you can continue on for the length that you want to be your project. It can be a blanket, it can be a scarf, it can be anything you want to be. It can be a cushion, a bag. So pull through all and chain to secure. I will continue on for 1 more, so chain 4, yarn over twice, 1 and 2. Yarn over, pull through all and chain to secure. Now I have 5 clusters, and on these 5 clusters I will begin to work my jasmine stitch. The jasmine stitch is created when you work 3 clusters together. 3 clusters together. Now we always, this is the rule, we always begin the row with a solitary cluster. So for it I will chain 4 more, and I will work into the secure chain of the last cluster that I worked for the beginning clusters. 1 more cluster, chain 1 to secure. Now this is like this, okay? I have 5 plus this is the very first of the first row. Now let us begin with our jasmine stitch. First jasmine stitch, as I said, we need 3 clusters together. The first begins from here. We will work it from here, obvious. The second will be worked exactly where we worked the solitary cluster. And the third, for the third, we always skip 1 horizontal cluster. Let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over twice into the secure chain of the previous cluster, work 2 more triple crochets. Now keep all on your hook, yarn over twice, and as I said, it's exactly into the secure chain where we work the solitary cluster. So it's this one, it's here that we work our, so there are 2 clusters that we have to go back, okay? So I have, this is the solitary cluster, this is the first cluster of my jasmine stitch. It's here that I need to go back and to work my second cluster of the 3 that I need to work together to work a complete jasmine stitch. So I have 2 on the hook. Now let's go for the third, and the third, as I said before, we are like this. The third, as I said before, actually, as you can see, it's here. We skip the first of our 5 clusters. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first of our 5 cluster, and we work it here. Okay, we have to skip 1. 1, 2, skip 1 of the beginning clusters and work your 3rd cluster. Now look at them. We have 3, 6, 9 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all 9 loops and chain to secure. This is the very first Jasmin stitch. Now exactly the same thing. So this is the solitary cluster and these are the 3 together. Exactly the same thing we have to do. So 3 together, not the solitary only at the beginning. Exactly the same thing we have to do for the rest of the cluster that we put at the beginning. So we work the first exactly here. The second will be always worked where we worked the 3rd of the previous Jasmin stitch. So here we will work the second. The first, of course, it's here. The second it's here and it's kind of vertically. And the 3rd will be always worked skipping 1 horizontal cluster. So here. So it's 1, 2, 3. And the first that we work remain always horizontally. Okay, this. Okay, let's get started with the second one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over twice. Try to insert hook through 2 loops. Pull up a loop and work the first triple crochet. Don't finish it. Work the next. Don't finish it. Yarn over, as I said before, where we work the 3rd cluster of the previous Jasmin stitch, we work the 2nd of this one that we are actually working at. Okay, we have it. We have 2. We need 1 more. Yarn over twice and we skip 1 horizontal cluster to work the 3rd. Always. And this is the Jasmin stitch. Yarn over, pull through 9 loops on your hook and chain to secure. The second Jasmin stitch is ready. Let's go on with the 3rd. Again, now we know the first begins, of course, here where we finished the first cluster, when we finished the previous Jasmin stitch. This is my first cluster, yarn over twice. The second is worked where we worked the 3rd of the previous cluster, previous Jasmin stitch, the 3rd cluster of the Jasmin stitch that we are working at. We have 2 already, and now to work the 3rd we always skip 1 horizontal cluster. Let me skip it. 1, and for 1 cluster we need to work 3 triple crochets together. Now we have again our 9 triple crochets and we pull through all and we chain to secure. Okay, let's go on for 2 more. So we begin with a chain 4 and this is the very first cluster of the Jasmin stitch that we are working at. 1. Yarn over twice, where we work the 3rd of the previous, we work the 2nd of our Jasmin stitch, the 2nd cluster, obvious, we are talking about clusters here, and 3, and skipping 1 horizontal, we work the 3rd. We just want to complete our 2 and 3. Okay, we have it. Yarn over, pull through all 9 loops on your hook and chain to secure. We are at the end. We have to work 1 more. Let's get started with this one. Chain 4. Insert hook through 2 loops. So we chain 4 and we insert hook to work our cluster into the chain, secure chain of the previous Jasmin stitch. This is the first cluster. Yarn over twice, where we work the third of the previous Jasmin stitch. We work now the second of the Jasmin stitch we are working at. Yarn over twice, and now we skip one cluster and we are into the beginning chain to work our third cluster of the last Jasmin stitch of this row. Yarn over, pull through all 9 loops on the hook and chain to secure. Now, this is the very first row of Jasmin stitch. It's not that difficult. Let's get started with the second row. Don't forget that each and every row begins with a solitary cluster. We finish with the last Jasmin stitch, and we must have exactly the same number of solitary of horizontal clusters that we have at the beginning. So now at the beginning we have 5. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the number of Jasmin stitches that we need to put in each row. So I will chain 4 and turn. And I will immediately work my solitary cluster into the secure chain of the last Jasmin stitch of the previous row. This is my solitary cluster. Chain to secure. And now I am ready to begin my 5 Jasmin stitches. The first Jasmin stitch, the first cluster of the first Jasmin stitch is worked on the top of the solitary cluster. The first cluster, okay, of the first Jasmin stitch. Yarn over twice. The second is worked exactly into the secure chain of the last Jasmin stitch of the previous row, where we just worked the solitary cluster. So we already skipped this 2 and it's here, okay. This maybe is a little bit strange, but okay. Yarn over twice, we always skip one horizontal cluster to work the third. And here we are with the very first Jasmin stitch. 2 and 3. Now pull through all 9 and chain to secure. And here we are, we began a new row. Let's get started with 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yarn over, insert hook into 2 loops and work the very first cluster of the next Jasmin stitch. Yarn over twice, where we worked the third, it's here, we work the second of this one, the third cluster of the previous Jasmin stitch. I just want to move on a little bit faster because it's already clear, I think. And this is the cluster, horizontal cluster, that I need to skip to work the third cluster of this Jasmin stitch. Okay, now yarn over, pull through all. I have 3 more to work. 1, 2, 3. I already worked 2. So chain 4 to begin the first cluster of this Jasmin stitch, then 2 more triple crochets that we leave the last loop on the hook to create the first cluster. The second is work where we worked the third of the previous Jasmin stitch, 3 triple crochets, leaving 3 loops on the hook, yarn over twice, skipping the horizontal, the next horizontal cluster that we can see. We work the third cluster to finish. Okay. Now we have 2 more, chain 4, When you finish the row, you just finish it with the last Jasmin stitch. When you begin the row, you begin it with the solitary cluster. That's all. This, it's only one row repeating, skip one row repeating sequence. So, as you can see, the Jasmin stitch, it's not difficult. Now, if you understand it, just go ahead, take a very beautiful yarn, maybe color changing yarn, and work a lovely scarf. What do you think about it? Okay, I am working on my last. And I will skip the last horizontal cluster, and into the chain I will work the third stitch cluster of the last Jasmin stitch and pull through all and chain to secure. I will begin again with a chain 4, solitary cluster, and then all my 5. So, isn't it so easy? I have an entire playlist with projects with this beautiful stitch, and then I will actually add on some more because I just adore it. Thank you for watching. Hope that this explanation, this lesson is useful for you and you really understand this beautiful stitch. As I said before, take a lovely yarn, the yarn that you want, and make a lovely beautiful scarf with it. I'm sure you will just love it. And don't forget to subscribe if you like my tutorials. If you want to choose a beautiful yarn, you can choose from our yarns. You have the link below of our online shop. See you at the next tutorial. Bye bye.